everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Full Court Cleveland. Ryan on the other side of the lens. My friend Sam Amico, Bobby Gibson is still on the DL, and yours truly, Rafa Hernandez Brito, live from the Big Play Burke Lakefront Studios.
You got it right.
Finally.
Yay! All right.
There you go. It's still cold here in Cleveland. Wherever you're watching us, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. We got a show that we have prepared for you about a lot of stuff that people are talking about, a lot of stuff that we have been watching. But Sam, the basketball and the NBA playoff are still going on, and I imagine Hoops Wire got you wired to the NBA playoff.
Yeah, I haven't missed much. I missed part of that route of the Thunder eliminating the Timberwolves, and but other than that, pretty much been tuned into everything, and some good basketball being played still. And by the time we're here next week, we'll have a finals matchup.
Yeah,
I
right.
assume. So
Well,
yeah, it's exciting stuff.
on today's show, we're going to break down some of Cavs headlines, because there is many Cavs headlines, most of them nonsensical headlines, but they are brought to you by Smart Choice Windows. Most of the headlines you're reading there are not smart at all. But we're also going to do our weekly powered rank presented by our friends at Garage Beer. Take a drive around the NBA. There's still NBA basketball being played. Knicks and Pacers play the game 5 as we speak tonight. And also, that is brought to you by Infinity of Beechwood and Infinity of Akron. But first, let's get into the topics here, the Cavs headlines that are brought to you. Well, first, Sam, a lot of talk being made. First of all, nothing can happen until the NBA Finals conclude. Right? And we only have one participant on the final. Let's get into that before we get into the West. But when it comes to the Cavs, I wanted to ask you something. For everybody that is like, I want to do a section on Full Court Cleveland next season, where we put the experts in the microscope, the way the experts put the players in the microscope. Because I want to give Ryan some homework about what all these experts said about the Cavs, Pacers, and the Knicks Celtics series before the series, and then what they were saying after the series, which I think are two very different things. And if we were to put that into the microscope, we would be trading a lot of these experts and asking them to be let go, and why are they spending all this money on them. So my question to you is, between the Pacers, between the Timberwolves and the Cavs, right? The Cavs have been going in, the Timberwolves two years in a row in the conference finals. Is that a disappointment for you or for them, do you think? Or is that something that they need to, according to social media and the experts, just blow this thing up because it ain't working?
Yeah, no. I think that is the narrative surrounding teams like the Cavs and the Timberwolves who fall short. Yeah. And I don't think that's the way to approach things, is by blowing things up right away and overreacting. You look at Oklahoma City, right? I mean, this is a team that last year got beat out in the second round. Yeah, they went out and got a couple of reinforcements in Hartenstein and Alex Caruso. Look at the Celtics before that won the championship. They went out and they got some reinforcements, but the core was the same. And I think that that's very vital, and there's a lot to be said for familiarity. When you look at a team like the Indiana Pacers, they started the season slow. People were saying Halliburton had lost it. I think they were under 500 after 28 games. So you can't base things on narratives and panic. You have to base it on what do we need to add to what's already been successful. And, I think the word fan is short for fanatical. So sometimes we go a little crazy with that stuff. But in reality, if you have reason and perspective, you can see that teams such as the Timberwolves, the Cavaliers, probably the Knicks, they're right there. They just need something else to put them over the top. And it doesn't have to be another player. It might just be another season together.
I just find it amazing. And again, I have never been on the side of no criticism to you. I have never been on that side where my words and my writings and my posts have to have traffic in order for me to be successful. And I understand that side of the business. And I understand you need to throw in things, like the clickbait, they call it, and the things that because you need traffic. You need before it used to be you needed to sell newspapers. Now you need you need lights. You need because I mean we do sell podcasts, and you need to have downloads and all that. But I find it amazing how when you get all these things going on in social media now that everybody has access to be a voice. There are two types of people that never been in the game, but write about it or work around it, but really don't know what's going on inside an organization on a day-to-day. And also the guys that have been there before but kind of forget because now they're in a different role, but they're kind of forced to do. And for example, calling out players for sitting out. I understand the narrative, but you don't know. And I hear everybody calling out Garland and Hunter and Mobley. Did anybody call out Steph Curry for sitting out?
Yeah, right.
Huh?
No. Well, and I think that's a big part of, and I said this last week's show, calling into questions people's injuries. That's
ridiculous.
That's silly because you have no concept or clue of how badly this person's really hurt. But that's a lot of it, Raf. I mean, on my website, for instance, we try to keep things reasonable in perspective, and then we do hypothetical trade proposals because we look at the numbers and, okay, those are going to take off. Those will help those will keep the lights on, right? But everything else, you try to approach it with reason and perspective. And, there is some of that still out there, but there's also a lot of these talk shows or sports talk shows where it's just throwing anything out there and these certain teams are going to get us more clicks, and what's going to get us more views and clicks is drama, real or imagined.
I understand that, but hey, on the other side, for those of you that might not have an idea, sometimes it's not even a player's decision whether or not the player is suiting up or not. But hey, we continue on this episode of Full Court Cleveland with more headlines when we come back on the other side.
The Big Play Sports Network is brought to you by Fairway Ford, the largest inventory of new Ford trucks, the lowest pricing, and same hometown level of service. Visit fairwayfordohio.com today.
Okay, now that we vented a little bit for the start, I haven't been here in like 2 weeks, so I have to let go of some of my things. But we are now going into Cavs headlines that are brought to you by Smart Choice Windows and Smart Choice Bath. And if you have been thinking about upgrading your home this spring, look no further than Smart Choice Windows and Smart Choice Bath. On Smart Choice Windows, they have a great deal, Sam. Right now, you can buy 2 windows, or you can get 2 free, and you get 2 free. Or, if you like it even better, they are offering 0% financing for 24 months, and they also have a no down payment option with monthly payments as low as $199. Of course, some restrictions apply. And if bathroom is the need that you have in your updating plans for this summer, the same great team at Smart Choice Bath has you covered. They are offering $1,500 of brand new showers or tubs this month. So if you've been putting off that remodeling job, now is the perfect time to go for it. So if you're ready for quieter, more energy-efficient windows or a bathroom that finally works for your life, make the call. Dial 440-WINDOWS. That is 440-946-3697. Or you can visit them at smartchoicewindows.com and smartchoicebath.com to schedule your free, no-pressure estimate today. Okay, no pressure here with the All-NBA honors. La Araña Spider Mitchell made the first team for the Cavaliers, joining Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the reigning MVP now. Jason Tatum, who we wish the best in his recovery. He already had surgery the day after his injury. Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Joker. I think those two guys are they're going to be there. They're going to get the votes no matter what happens. But are you surprised with the support and the recognition that Donovan Mitchell got being elected to the first team for the first time in his career?
Yeah, I am surprised, and not because of his performance, but because of, again, we go back to that national narrative. You don't hear a lot about the Cavaliers, even as good as they were kind of brushed aside. And what I love about this is Donovan clearly took a step back individually throughout the regular season for the good of the team, and it really benefited the team. And I'm glad to see he still got honored for that, making first team for the first time in his career. And I think this was just the third time, right, that we had Cavs on first and second team with Mark Price and Brad Daugherty and LeBron James and Kyrie Irving also having done it. So I think Donovan had a career season. The numbers may not reflect that, but when you look at Donovan Mitchell, the player and the leader, without question, the best year I've ever seen him had, and he had some really good ones in Utah.
But I think when you look at the Cavs, and you mentioned Utah, they were the best team in the NBA in record-wise, one of the seasons that the Spider was there. But also when you look at the 64-win season that the Cavs had, a lot had to do with the leadership, with the sacrifices, and with the way Donovan Mitchell led this team, because there's still, there were so many questions going into the season about whether or not him and Garland kind of fit inside. It was the first time that they actually played a whole season together with all the injuries that Darius had the first year that the Spider was here. So he beat Curry, Brunson, and Anthony Edwards, who are the other three guards that were mentioned on the second team. So I think that's pretty good recognition for what you mentioned. Usually small markets don't get the recognition. And when you're talking about Curry, Brunson, New York, and Anthony Edwards, who just been fought about the face of the NBA, I was surprised that the voters actually voted the right way.
It's not often that you get something that ends up the right way, but yeah, in this case with Donovan Mitchell, and I think obviously Anthony Edwards and Jalen Brunson, fantastic players. Steph Curry's been doing it for years, so a nice recognition.
I don't want to say they got it wrong, but when you win NBA Defensive Player of the Year, shouldn't that make you part of the first team in the NBA? I mean, I know Giannis is Giannis, but a lot of those votes, I imagine, were just name and what he has done. But Evan Mobley made the second team, also named number one in team all defensive team. So that's pretty good for him. And Giannis, Tatum, and Jokic were the other three that he could have replaced. Every time that you talk about, like in the March Madness, when one team get left out, or in the All-Star game when a player get left out, you have to come out with somebody that I would replace Giannis for Mobley, considering the season that each team had and what happened. But still, Giannis is a scoring machine.
Yeah, there's no shame in finishing behind Giannis, but look, Evan's right there, right? I mean, I think second team, obviously a huge jump for him from his previous years, and the great news is this is just getting started with Evan Mobley, still incredibly young, and really we saw a different Evan Mobley and an improved Evan Mobley all the way around. And even though he was pretty good before this year he really took another step, and potentially next year he'll take another, at least a small one. And if not, we already got, the Cavs already have a second team All-NBA performer.
Yeah. So we'll see. On a side note, Darius Garland had the most votes of any guard that wasn't named to the first, second, or third team.
Yeah.
I would like to see our production team didn't give us the third team, but I would like to see who the guards were on the third team that was left out, that left Garland out.
Yeah,
great season for DG as well.
Well, and I think he had a rebound season. He even talked about how the joy had returned this year, and I thought that was very evident.
Wasn't that Butler that said that?
Yeah, well, Darius Garland said it before the year too, and I think Darius, that played out, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we saw that this was the kind of season that the Cavs had hoped, that Darius Garland had hoped that he would put together, and it was fantastic.
Okay, I can't really get into conversation of hypothetical trades for various reasons. One of them because
I'll be happy to help you there.
Yeah, one of them because I don't think they make sense, and second because I work for the organization, so I don't want to get. But let me just put this, and correct me if I am wrong. For all of them talking about LeBron, what's the point of trading for a player that could easily sign for you? Has a player option, just don't option it with the Lakers and sign as a free agent. What's the point of proposing a trade for a 41-year-old guy who you can get as a free agent?
There is no point.
Explain to me.
There is no point in that. If we're talking about LeBron James, there would be no point in that. And look, I mean, that's not going to happen.
I know that, but I'm saying I always see things like, they should trade for LeBron, they should send this and this.
Yeah, well, that's just a lack of awareness, I would think.
Yeah.
That,
So just to put on the table a little bit more of an education portion here, because, and you know a lot more of this than I do, what's the situation for the Cavs if we're going to talk about a trade? What is it that has to come back and go out, and because of where they are with the awards that Evan Mobley got, there's a little more salary included. Can you go over that rather than go over the hypotheticals?
Yeah, it's just basically you have to take back matching salary if you were to make a trade.
Because of where they are right now.
Because of where they are with the second apron, which is kind of like the hard salary cap. And then if you do make that trade, you've got to take back equal salary, but mostly, that really handcuffs what you can do in other moves. And the Cavs potentially, if they want, could make a trade. That's not going to be outside the realm of possibilities. That said, you'd probably really have to mess with, I don't want to say the core, but the rotation. And I don't think that that's something they're looking to do. Kobe Altman even came out and said, what he expects from people, and he said we're hopeful of bringing back Ty Jerome and Sam Merrill. So they would love to run it back with a team that went 64-18, trust their entire body of work, and say, maybe we add a reinforcement here and there, but overall, there's no reason to shake this team up when they went 64-18 and have had a playoff failures. Because guess what? Again, we go back to the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Indiana Pacers, the Boston Celtics before they brought in Drew Holiday, the Denver Nuggets, who were together, that core was together like 8 years before they won a championship with Jokic and Murray and Michael Porter Jr. and Michael Malone as coach. They brought in a reinforcement, brought in Aaron Gordon. So I think that's where the Cavs stand, and you almost look at it like a full season of DeAndre Hunter is your reinforcement.
So let's talk about this. First of all, you mentioned Hunter. That's another thing we get next year that we didn't have past season, a full season of DeAndre Hunter. Getting ready, a good training camp with the system that Kenny Atkinson, I'm sure, is going to tinker with just to see what's going to. But hypothetically, I'm a Hoops Wire reader and a member of their newsletter. Position-wise, what would Hoops Wire do? Or consider for the Cavs for next season? Is that a good hypothetical?
Yeah.
I mean, forget about names because we don't even know. We know who the free agents are going to be and everything, but we still don't even know if they're going to be free agents. So,
well, the number one thing I would do if I put on my GM cap would bring in a backup center, maybe somebody who could play 15, 20 minutes. That's it. That would be my number one priority. Then, that would be number two priority after signing Ty Jerome, re-signing Ty Jerome. Now, that's a little bit out of the Cavs' hands. That's going to be what other teams offer and what he decides.
And what's his situation contractually?
Well,
is he a free agent? Or
Ty Jerome and Sam Merrill are both unrestricted free agents, so somebody offers them a deal and they take that, they're gone. Cavs obviously do no compensation. But Kobe Altman has said he want both of them back, and especially Ty Jerome. And aside from that, the Cavs will have a little bit of money to bring in somebody on a veteran minimum deal. And, look, it doesn't – you don't have to –
those are big pieces, Sam.
Right. You don't have to make –
Channing Frye, R.J. Richard Jefferson.
You don't have to make a big splash. You just – how do we go about – what areas do we need to get better in? Kobe Altman said mental toughness. Those are things that you work with the same core. Maybe you bring in a veteran player who's a backup five who brings some of that mental toughness, gives Jared Allen a break, gives Evan Mobley a break. And to me, that's really – those are the pressing things that they're going to try to do this offseason.
That's the other thing that it kind of trigger me a little bit, annoy me a little bit, like questioning the heart of a bunch of guys that gave it the role.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do. Yes, there's a team that played better, that made more shots, that felt like it was their moment, that just came back from being in the finals of the conference for the second season in a row that nobody talked about.
Yeah.
That, yes, started with a lot of injuries. But I think when you've been in the fight, you know that all you have to do is get to that second part of the season to kick in the gear again.
Yeah, you know what? It's so wide open right now, the East, when you talk about how many different teams. This is the first 7-year stretch in NBA history where we'll have a different champion every season. So There's a lot of parity. There's a lot of reasons to keep doing what you're doing. And eventually you believe, in the Cavaliers' case, that you will break through just like these other teams have done.
There's a lot of injuries. There's a lot of who knows Philadelphia. And there's, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Thank you again to our friends from Smart Choice Windows and Bath. We should to give them a call at 440-WINDOWS or visit their website at smartchoiceWindows.com and smartchoicebath.com to schedule your free estimate today. When we come back, we go power ranking on Full Court Cleveland.
The Big Play Sports Network is brought to you by Smart Choice Windows, energy-efficient products at an affordable price. Visit smartchoicewindows.com today.
Welcome back, everybody, to Full Court Cleveland. Bowie Gibson is in the what kind of list do we call? Because he's not really like disabled.
He's not on the injured list.
He's not an injured list.
He's on the having fun without us list.
Okay, he's in a Full Court Cleveland leave list. I wonder where in the world is Bowie?
Having fun. I see. You see his Instagram. He's playing basketball a lot. He's teaching and playing basketball.
He's shooting.
Yeah, that's what he does.
He's shooting.
Yeah.
All right, we go power ranking here. That is brought to you by our good friends of Garage Beer. Remember, Garage Beer comes in just 2 flavors: classic light lager and lime. No frills, no bitterness, no IPAs. It's just beer flavor beer. Find your local retailers who sell Garage Beer near you by visiting drinkgaragebeer.com. And I still haven't gotten my cooler. I don't know if I won I replied their Twitter, followed them, and retweeted. You know, they had like this beach cooler full of Garage Beer stuff.
And you haven't gotten your cooler yet, huh?
Maybe it got mailed here to the Big Play offices.
It's probably someone else took it.
Padone just took it for himself.
That would be very Nick Padone-like.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go ranking. We're going to power rank. You know, the NBA Finals are coming up, right? Yeah. Oklahoma City is already slated to be there in their first final since they lost to the Heat.
And that was a lockout season. Yeah.
In
2011, I believe.
11th, yeah.
2011-12 season.
LeBron's
Thank
first season.
for Ryan.
LeBron's first season, no?
In Miami, yep.
Or second, no, because they didn't go to the finals. The second season in Miami.
Yeah, because the first one, didn't they lose to Dallas?
They lost to the Mavericks.
Yeah.
They lost to the Mavericks. They beat the thing, and then they...
Can we just have Ryan do the show? I don't know.
Yeah. So, hey, let's talk about Oklahoma City in the finals and the best finals in the history of the NBA. Do you put anything over the 2016 finals?
No. I mean, as a Clevelander and a person who grew up watching the Cavs my entire life.
Mm-hmm. Not even the 84 Celtics-Lakers when Larry Bird and
Kevin
McHale close line.
That was a great finals, but I mean, just as a Cleveland person, finally seeing a championship for the first time, you know, what was funny is my oldest boy, who's now in his 20s, was a new sports fan. And as soon, cause at that point, you know, he's like 11 years old. And I'm like, I've waited all my life to see a Cleveland championship. And you saw one in your first year as a sports fan. Let me tell you, it doesn't always turn out this way. But
is he a Browns fan?
He is. Okay. And he lives in Steelers country. He lives in Steelers country, and he's a Browns fan.
Wow.
So, yeah. But,
black and yellow.
Yeah, right. But, so that would be number one. Okay,
2016 coming back down 3-1. There's so many stories. It's going to be 10-year anniversary.
Yes.
10th anniversary next season.
I know.
So my Legends Corner is going to be...
And you haven't aged.
Huh?
You haven't aged since 2015.
Yeah, thanks. I was looking at it. I was looking at the picture from the parade. It looked like I dyed my hair black.
I probably did.
Yeah. But 2016, I think there's so many personal reasons and also for, down 3-1, coming back and beating a team that have not lost 3 games in a row in like God knows how long.
Yeah.
And doing 2 at home and all the little stories that went around that, I think, 2016 is.
As far as the finals, that'd be number one. Going back, I think an actual great matchup that nobody talks about, and this is, again, dating myself, actual games and actual basketball was the 80, I believe it was 89 or 90, when the Pistons beat the Portland Trailblazers in 5 games. Every game that went down to the wire, like the last second shot. And the Pistons won in 5 games, but it went down the wire. And that was the first time that Bird or Magic were not there in a decade. And it was a fantastic finals that I think nobody watched but me and potentially a couple of my friends. But that was an outstanding finals. And then more recent, probably I thought the Celtics, or I'm sorry, the Lakers, Sixers in 2001, when Allen Iverson went off in the first game and did the step over Ty Lue.
Everybody talks about that, but then the Lakers won 4 in a row.
They won 4 in a row after that. That one game, though, was fantastic because nobody expected.
They got their T-shirt and everything, but it's like,
yeah.
Like every time, T. Lue, who's my favorite Mexican, by the way, every time we talked to him about it, he was always like, all right. He stepped over me. He doesn't really, like, he was on the floor, he walked over him, but everybody...
It wasn't that big of a deal.
But then they lost 4 in a row.
They got creamed in.
I know. Everybody talks about.
Yeah.
That.
Well, just watching Allen Iverson and a bunch of nobodies was fun for me.
I tell you what, I liked anyone's of the 80s in the Celtics because I was in Boston.
86, that might have been the best
Larry stole the
team.
ball and the baby hook and all that. But 1979 finals, I love them. I love that for a special reason because everybody talks about the series where Magic Johnson plays center.
Yeah.
Do not say that to Cavaliers legends Jim Jones. Because he's the one that plays center. Magic Johnson jumped the
opening tap.
The opening tip.
Yeah.
But Jim Jones plays center, and the Lakers won, and there was the first Puerto Rican in the NBA, the first Latino player in the NBA, Butch Lee, ex-Cavalier. Also won the title that year with the Lakers. We'll be right back. Thank you to our friends from Garage Beer for the rankings on Full Court Cleveland.
The Big Play Sports Network is brought to you by Garage Beer. No bitterness, no frills, no IPA, just beer-flavored beer. Find local retailers who sell garage beer near you by visiting drinkgaragebeer.com.
We're driving around the association, and that is brought to you by our friends at Infinity Dealers, Infinity of Beechwood and Infinity of Akron. From the moment you walk into these beautiful dealerships, you'll experience the luxury, care, and innovation that define the Infinity brand. The knowledgeable team at Infinity is here to make every step seamless. From your test drive to long after the sale, Infinity of Beechwood and Infinity of Akron can help you discover the perfect new Infinity to match your lifestyles. Both dealerships are now under new ownership and are proudly owned by St. Ignatius grads Jamie Pila and Ray Sminchak. So stop in one of their locations to experience the Infinity difference or visit them online at infinityofbeechwood.com and infinityofakron.com. They love it when you do the read in Spanish a lot better than when I do it in English.
I like it when you say punta com.
Yeah, punta com. Yeah.
I say that now to my kids. They're like, what are you talking about?
So let's take a drive around the NBA. The top stories, obviously, we have the first member of the finalists in the NBA, the Oklahoma City Thunder, who were... let's say it, the best team in the NBA for the whole season, even though the Cavs fought them for a long time. And then, Oklahoma has been coached really well, have played really well, has responded really well to adversities because they lost a couple of games. And, I can't believe Denver gave them a harder series than Minnesota did. But at the end of the day, you got to give it to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the rest of the crew, the rest of the team, because it's not just Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
No.
Because he has had some bad games or bad halves, and that team had come in, on the positive side.
Well, they learned from last year's playoff failure.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if we're talking about the Cavs, that's what you want to do is take that next step, and they've done that, and it's with relentless swarming defense. That's really the Thunder's calling card. As great as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is, their calling card is that swarming, relentless defense. You saw Lou Dort just face guarding the whole game. Anthony Edwards wouldn't let him get the ball. Didn't care about anything else.
A few inches too. It's like
and didn't help. Like if somebody got beat to the basket, Lou Dort wasn't sliding down to help and leaving Anthony Edwards. He was staying on him the entire game in his face. And that's something they can do because of their depth and they have athleticism. They have tough guys in Hartenstein and Caruso. And Chet Holmgren has really come into his own in these playoffs. So, yeah, it's nice to see a small market that has continued and built the right way and has continued to ride it out through the disappointments. Live up to the billing going into the Western Conference playoffs as the number one seed. Nobody was talking about them still. Number one seed, 68-14. Nobody wanted to talk about them. And here they are in the NBA Finals. And you're right, they had a much easier time with the Timberwolves than the Nuggets.
I don't know if Hoops Wire has reported on this, but would this be the first time that there's an invocation before an NBA game a finals game? Because Oklahoma City is the only arena where they actually still do an invocation before each game. I don't know if they do it in the playoff, if they're still doing it, or if the league.
That's something that we need to get the
we
huge
need
staff
the reporting
at hoopswire.com on. Get them reporting on
yeah,
that.
can you find out if they do the invocation? I don't know if they have done it for, the playoff, but I know for a fact every time we go to Oklahoma, it's the only arena where they do have that. So on the other side, on the eastern side, they're still undecided as we speak here in our studios. The Pacers lead the Knicks 3-1, kind of giving the Knicks the same medicine they gave the Cavs.
Yeah.
That I believe they have 2 or 3 players playing out of their mind. The time of playing better than they have ever done in their career. I think O'Connell coming off the bench and some of the other guys defensive, but they have the defensive personality in common with Oklahoma. I think they have 2 or 3 guys that guard 94 feet, and they have guys that are guarding 1 to 5, good perimeter guarding, good rim protection, good shooting. So, and the Knicks have really fallen into the trap of playing the Pacers game.
Yes, and that's what Indiana tries to get you to do. Now, the interesting thing, assuming Indiana should win this series against the Knicks, is the Thunder also play the Pacers style. So that's where the matchup comes in. But the Thunder have just played it better all year than the Pacers have. But the Pacers have been playing it, to me, since the playoffs started, the Pacers have been every bit as good as the Thunder. So, they win on the road. They win a lot on the road, the Pacers. They have very similar styles of play. Now, during the playoffs, the Pacers have had elite shot making. And the guys like, you always talk about Halliburton, Siakam, Miles Turner, Aaron Nesmith, and Andrew Nembhard. Those guys have been, like you said, playing out of their minds in this series. Obi Toppin is the same way. T.J. McConnell. So it's going to be a good matchup as long as the Pacers continue to play out of their minds. If they take a step back, that series is going to be over in 4 or 5 games. But if Indiana plays like they've been playing, it could be a very close, hard-fought series.
What do the Knicks have to do, going into Game 5 now at Madison Square Garden? I know that audience plays a role in the way the game is played, but one of the problems I see with the Knicks is that Jalen Brunson has to play like God and then get some help because Karl Anthony Towns has been up and down because Mikal Bridges he's a guy that can put up 30 points and Anunoby, but sometimes they just go really silent and they really have not had, I don't want to say anything, but they haven't had much coming off the bench. With Deuce McBride, and they really never used the bench. And I found surprising how Tom Thibodeau changed his whole style, rotation, and approach by bringing in all these people off the bench in game 3 that they won, right? Game 3. But again, they have to do it again and again and again. And at this point, they have to do it 3 more times in the 3 games that they have left.
Well, one thing we've seen with Rick Carlisle in these playoffs is he's been fantastic at making adjustments. So when the Knicks started Mitchell Robinson over Josh Hart.
Who has played great, by the way.
Yes, Mitchell Robinson's played great. Well, it worked for the Knicks in that game. But then Rick Carlisle, Game 4, adjusted to that, redid everything, and the Knicks got thrown off. And now, they just aren't a great matchup. But like you just said, Mikal Bridges, Karl Anthony Towns, and OG Anunoby, those guys, they're just you never know what you're going to get from them from night to night, and you're not going to survive for long when that's the case.
Hey, we'll take a break, but we'll continue our drive around the association when we come back on Full Court Cleveland.
The Big Play Sports Network is brought to you by Infinity. Luxury experiences for those who dare to be different. Visit infinityofbeechwood.com today.
Welcome back, everybody, to Full Court Cleveland. Ryan, Sam, and yours truly, Rafa, here. And the awards have been handed out. And I thought during the season, and again, the awards for the regular season is what counts, right?
Right.
And I thought Jokic was not going to get it due to voter fatigue, due to the fact that everybody loved the season that Oklahoma City Thunder had. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I think, is a winner of that award, who had been a victim of voter non-fatigue when it came to the Joker in the last few years.
Yeah, look, you could have picked Gilgeous-Alexander.
Who would you have voted for? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Who would you have voted for if you had a vote?
Probably Gilgeous-Alexander because of, Jokic has won it so many years, in a row. And he was the leading scorer and the best player, Gilgeous-Alexander, on the best team. So that probably would have been my vote. If you told me, no, you got to vote Jokic. He does so many other things. He rebounds, assists, along with the scoring. Take him off the Nuggets, and they're a lottery team, probably among the 5 worst or 6 worst teams without Jokic. I couldn't argue that point. So I think that you don't want to give out co-NBA MVPs, but they both deserve.
Did it help that he was the scoring leader too, you think?
With SGA? Yeah, I think so. I mean, the scoring leader, best player on a team that's just been fantastic throughout the regular season. It's hard to say, okay, he doesn't deserve it.
And he's grown a ton.
He has, and he's a great leader, great guy.
Do you think the Oklahoma City Thunder knew that he was going to be that, or the Clippers didn't know that he was, because he was the trade bait
for
Paul George. So
I'm sure.
I mean, there were plenty of picks and everything, but they actually got a player to come in and get dressed right away.
Yeah, I don't think anybody knew that was coming. The Thunder, when they made the trade, certainly not the Clippers, or they wouldn't have made the trade. And probably not even SGA himself realized that,
He was on Garland's. No, Haliburton was on Garland's draft, right?
I think SGA was Colin Sexton.
On Sexton's draft.
Maybe Ryan knows that off the top of his head. Yeah. But, so.
And went 11th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there was quite a few guys that did not see this coming with SGA.
Well, we see it now.
Me among them.
Yeah. We see it now. He's the reigning MVP, and he is in the NBA Finals for the first time in his career. Donovan Mitchell was 5th in the voting. Evan Mobley was tied for 10th. Do you think Mitchell was more a victim of the team effort that the Cavs put on, and the fact that he made some sacrifices in order for the bettering of the team?
I think that played a role. Sure. Look, here's the other thing too. Donovan Mitchell's been doing it year after year after year. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's some voter fatigue there too. So, I just think that a lot of things play into these votings. I used to vote back when I was a member of the Pro Basketball Writers.
Who votes now?
I believe it's the Pro Basketball Writers Association.
Which are people that cover beat writers and stuff?
Beat writers. They have a select group that they pick.
But they used to have like the broadcaster. They never included the Spanish broadcaster.
They could include broadcasters still to this day. It's like a panel, I believe, and that panel could be rotating yearly.
I think they do rotate their voting. I think it's a difficult thing to have broadcasters do, because even beat writers sometimes
you don't see everybody.
Like
you don't see.
You see guys winning, not being unanimous by one vote because somebody from a market voted for their guy, even though it wasn't.
Yeah, well, and that's it. People tend to vote for people in their own market a lot.
Yeah. Our friend Sam Amico wears different hats at Hoops Wire, and now we're going to ask him to evaluate the decision of allowing Haliburton's dad to come back into the arena. Would any other human being in this world be allowed back into an NBA arena? Forget about the Cambridge Fieldhouse. Into an NBA arena after storming into the court, and basically get into a shouting match with a player of the caliber of Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I don't know, Ralph. We should try it next year. You and I out on the court in Antetokounmpo's face.
I think you and I would be tackled out of the court first.
Yeah. Well, we could say, I'll just go out there and do it and say I know Roth. And then they won't tackle me.
By the way, Haliburton's dad is back in the arena, but I doubt he's going to be on the visit. I doubt he's coming to New York first.
No, it's only in Indiana's arena.
And he's on a suite. He's not on the court.
Yeah.
So, hey, congrats to you, Dad. Your son is going one step away from going into the finals. And we're one step away from coming back to you on Full Court Cleveland.
The Big Play Sports Network is brought to you by Pure AV, luxury home automation. Experience your dream smart home by visiting pureavcorp.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Recta final. Down the stretch we come. It is our season finale because I was told we'll be back. We're going to get some time off during the offseason and then come back. Pedon is the one that makes all the rules. So, you know.
Yeah. Well,
This has been all.
This is the first I've heard of it. We're getting an off season?
Yeah.
Where are we going?
I don't know.
Go hang out with Booby somewhere.
I don't know. 1, 2, 3 Cancun.
Yeah, there we go.
But this is the part of the show that Ryan lets us kind of like get off script and talk about anything we want. Is there any topic that is like?
You said you wanted to talk about the NHL,
Stanley Cup
the
Finals?
Stanley Cup Finals. Are they set?
Well, not yet.
Florida's in.
The Florida Thunder, the Florida Panthers are in it.
I know more hockey.
Yeah. The Florida Panthers are in it looking to be back-to-back champions.
Right. I know that.
And on the other
don't
side,
tell me the other side.
Uh-huh.
Dallas and Edmonton.
And Edmonton, yeah.
And if Edmonton wins
it's
that would
over.
be a rematch of last year.
Of last year, yeah.
But Dallas is leading that series?
I have no idea. I haven't been
okay.
watching. I haven't been watching. All I know is that I don't know where the game is tonight or whenever it is. But if you get a chance to watch a hockey game played at the Edmonton Oilers' home, you'll see how everybody wears Edmonton Oilers sweaters because in hockey there's not jerseys, it's sweaters.
Sweaters.
And the anthem is sung. The person that sings the anthem is in the stands. In between the fans.
Really?
It is the coolest freaking thing you'll ever see.
And what a history.
And to hear the Canadians sing "Oh Canada," they don't do it better than I do.
Of course not.
But you know, it is something to see.
Well, and with the history of Edmonton hockey, obviously with Wayne Gretzky.
There's only one Canadian team out of the Final Four. Only the Edmonton Oilers made it to.
That's a shame.
Yeah,
it's a Canadian game.
I've been letting all my Canadian friends know that it's like how can you have only one Canadian team?
Yeah,
but
and
still the Edmonton Oilers, like, very young.
Have you ever been to Edmonton?
Yes,
I've never been.
Beautiful.
Never been to Canada.
Yeah. My favorite Canadian city is Vancouver.
That's what everybody said.
Yeah, it is a beautiful city.
Birthplace of the Grizzlies.
It's kind of like Rio de Janeiro cold because it's water and mountain together.
Okay.
So it's really cool.
I didn't realize Rio de Janeiro.
Rio de Janeiro is a paradise. I recommend it to anybody to go because it's like mountains and water and beach right there, like Copacabana, and you see the mountains right in front of you. So it's like really like one of my favorite cities in the world. So baseball. Jose Ramirez is on fire.
Yes.
Can he do it again and carry this team by himself?
I think so.
Though he's getting some help.
He's getting a little help. Yeah.
You know. The Baerga show,
yes.
The Baerga show promised Mansardo that if he made it to the All-Star game, he was gonna wear. Carlos Baerga was gonna get his mustache back.
Oh,
so we have this beautiful. On the booth at the Sherwin-Williams Los Guardianes booth, and every time Mansardo does something, we color the mustache a little bit.
Okay.
So hopefully, if you guys have a vote Mansardo in, so Carlos Baerga can get the mustache back.
We need Carlos with the mustache.
And then we're gonna be bringing this next year into schools around Cleveland so kids can color Carlos Baerga and his mustache.
Wow, that's a great idea. Next year I'll have a Cavs thing where I'll grow a mustache.
This beautiful thing is made by Cody Draws. You know,
he
Cody
does
made
everything here.
Our show posters.
Yeah.
So I also think Cody should get a chance to paint something at one of the arenas because nothing against Glenn Infante, but he paints everywhere.
Yeah.
Like give Cody some room, man. Come on.
Yeah. I need Cody to draw on the wall in my man cave.
So
I need Cody to do my man cave wall.
Ooh.
At some point.
You're allowed to have a man cave at home?
Yeah. Well, I'm getting there, and maybe
my man cave is in a storage room somewhere in Miami.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you for watching us all season long. We'll be back next season, but continue to watch all the shows on Big Play, downloading the Big Play app. En el nombre de Ryan, Sam, and Rafa, hasta la vista.